Today we're testing 22 gadgets from Japan, from small through to bigger electrical things, to test are Japan gadgets really superior. This gadget says that it is an orange peeler cut around to make the perfect peeling of your orange.
Wow.
We have successfully peeled our orange, and you might think that that's it for this gadget, but no, it has a second piece.
Wait, there's more?
There's more.
What does it do?
You go like this and you slide it across, and it has cut it open so you can peel the skin off the segment.
That's too far.
Is this something that other people do that we've never encountered but is normal to you, perhaps?
I've always thought of the white bit as sort of the healthy bit. It's got no sugar, it's just fibre.
Fibre.
Maybe
Yep.
people are allergic to it. Or
Right. Does it taste better like that?
Let's see. It tastes the same, I think.
I'm going to put it kind of D tier, but it did work, so maybe C is a fairer one. These are called yubiraku tongs. It says they're designed to firmly hold your food while slicing, grating, so that you basically protect your fingers.
Okay.
I'm going to try with the mandolin, with the cucumber, and it just feels awkward to hold it using that. I prefer just to use my hand for the start. I appreciate it's a bit dangerous as you get further down. Let's try that now that we're closer to the edge. Seems pretty good. Can it let me get right down to the bottom? Those spikes seem pretty good. I'll give you a go with the cheese. Do your fingers feel protected?
Yes, they feel greatly protected.
Are you going to end up grating plastic into your food?
Yeah, a little bit of microplastic in my cheese, never hurt anyone. Well, it is destroying the cheese though.
What would you give this gadget?
For a cucumber, maybe a B, but for cheese, probably a D.
All right, so we're going to round that out to a C. Next, we don't just have one gadget, we have two.
Excellent.
But they do the same thing. Japan has solved the problem of stapling and running out of staples. These are both staplers that don't require staples.
Oh,
So
I love staplers.
You do?
Yeah, they're very cool.
All right, look at that. It's kind of mashed the pages together
Okay.
without the need for a staple.
Oh,
It kind of doesn't hold it together that securely. This one, you put the paper in, make sure it goes all the way in, and then if you look down the top, I'll try and do it slowly so you can see what it does. Did you catch that?
nope.
It cut an arrow, folded it over, and tucked it through to the other side.
Gosh, that's clever.
It's like origami because it's Japan.
It's true. It's not as good as a stapler, but it's cool.
What would you rank the straight one?
Yeah, not great. As a stapler connoisseur, not great. I'm going to give it a D.
Same. What about the one that does the origami arrow fold thing?
Pretty clever. I think that one's a B for me.
Next we have an award-winning pencil case from Kakusta. Japan has the stationery awards every year where the biggest stationery shops get together and judge which are the best new products, and this was one of the winners. It opens up and then magnets together. And then it holds
Looks
itself
cool.
up so you can grab whatever pens you need and pop them back in, and there's even a little spot at the top to put an eraser or a sharpener or whatever else you need. And then when you've finished using it, you just close it up, zip it shut, and you're done.
Wow.
But I want to know if you didn't just leave it neatly on your desk, if you were to throw that in your bag and it gets shaken around and tossed about as it would in a school bag.
Taking it on the train, getting pushed in, rush hour.
Is everything still going to be in place? Ta-da! It is.
Very good. Very good.
And it's got a nice feel to it.
Yes, it's a bit velvety almost. I predict that all the cool kids are going to have this sitting on their desk. Giving it an A.
You're giving it an A. I I think I'd actually agree. Next we have a gadget which when I saw it, I immediately thought that's going to solve a problem that I have. I love steaming food in these stacked steamers, but they just don't quite fit stably on my saucepan, and that means when they're hot and steamy they tend to topple. So this metal circle is the solution. It sits on top of the saucepan and then the steamers sit on top of that, and it stabilizes everything, turning your normal saucepan into the perfect steamer.
Functionality, it does what it says. I guess it gets a moderate A because it's simple.
Simple, solves a problem, does what it says. That's what every good gadget should do. But is it technically a gadget if it's only one piece of metal?
Yeah, maybe not.
Next, we have a thawing plate.
Welcome to our review of pieces of metal.
This one says, it claims that if you just place a frozen item on here, it will defrost quicker. So let's get a steak and test it on the thawing plate and on a ceramic plate and see how long it takes.
If I allow myself to dream, will it be as good as it seems?
So we'll stop that test there, and we appear to have a clear winner. This one is soft and defrosted, and the other one is still fairly solid and hard and frozen. So
It works.
it works. I'm going to put it, again, a piece of metal. A tier. Next we have a takoyaki maker. This is a popular Japanese street food and you can't make it without this gadget. So if you eat it in Japan and you like it, you're going to have to pick one of these up. Now it's just made with a very thin batter, and then you add in a piece of cooked octopus, or I'm using cooked calamari because I couldn't get octopus, some green onions, a little bit of chopped up pickled ginger, and then when they're sort of halfway through cooking, you start to try and turn each ball just part way, and then anything that's spilled around the edges, you kind of push that in to each of the balls, and you keep turning. You can add more batter if you need to until you have a complete sphere. They're actually quite airy and steamy and still very soft on the inside, and then they top those with some special sauce and of course some of the Kewpie mayonnaise and some bonito flakes on top.
And the flakes are dancing. When I first went to Japan many years ago, someone took me to a restaurant and they were all dancing on top, and I was actually a bit freaked out. I asked the question, is this stuff still alive? And he assured me, no, it's just the way that this interacts.
So let's give this a taste. Very soft on the inside.
Was that cheese? Not cheese.
No, that's the batter. It's a very thin batter, so it only sort of settles on the edges and cooks and stays that sort of slightly runny on the inside.
Delicious. I like it. I probably should check.
Considering you can't make this dish without that gadget, I think it has to go to probably B grade. I wouldn't put it A grade because it's not something I would use every day, and I think it uses quite a lot of cupboard space. This one is an easy wrap finger plaster. I saw this and loved the idea of it. Instead of having the pad central, it's to one side. So now if I put that on the cut, wrap the shorter end and then wrap around, none of the sticky is touching the cut at all. So I think it's probably only an issue for people who have slender fingers, or for little kids who have tiny little fingers, that the length of the Band-Aid is actually an issue when it's central. So I like it. I'm putting this as A grade.
Oh, come on. Someone just went blip with the little pad bit, so I'll give it a C.
So that would average out as B.
Fair enough.
Next we have a pan steamer. If you don't have room in your kitchen for the big stack of steaming baskets that I had before, this could be the solution. It's supposed to fit right inside a normal fry pan, and then you just add a little bit of water at the bottom, put the things you want to steam on top and let it bubble away.
Cool.
I noticed when I was cooking though that the bubbles seemed to bubble up through the steamer and hit the food, which is fine if you're doing veggies, but it's going to make something like bao buns soggy. And I maybe added too much water, but I was worried it was going to boil dry, and in fact it did boil dry in the time it took it to cook. It just needs these feet to be at least double the height of what they are.
So the positives are that it doesn't take up much room, and the negatives are it doesn't work.
It's not designed very well, so I'm going to give it a D. Next we have this cute little sword, and it says on the packet it's an amulet or a good luck charm.
Well, we.
But it also says on the packet that owning this has no guarantee on future events.
No guarantee of good luck.
So I think that they felt the need to say that in case you thought it actually would bring you good luck. But it's pretty cute. Do you want to do the honours and open up the sword?
Ah, they're scissors.
Scissors. Let's see if they cut, because that's very important with scissors. They're sharp, they cut really well, and then when you've finished using them, you can put them back in their cover so you don't cut anything you don't want to cut in your pencil case.
That is fantastic.
I'm going to give it a B.
I am giving it an S for superb,
Wow.
or shoo, as they say in Japan.
So we're going to average out on an A.
Well, an A is very good.
Next we have what calls itself an easy garlic peeler. It's essentially just a tube made out of silicone. The instructions say that you have to cut both ends off the garlic. And then you place the garlic inside the tube, and with the palm of your hand, do you want to do the honours?
Yes.
You rub it back and forth.
You can hear it.
And once you think it's done, tip it out and let's see if it worked. Woo!
Look at that. That is very cool.
It did work, and the peel is just stuck inside the tube in the middle. My question is it better than how you would normally do it? So
I have no idea how you would normally peel garlic. So yes.
I'll show you how I'd normally peel it, and then you can
Okay.
decide whether you would buy that gadget.
All
so
right.
I would cut off both ends, which is exactly what they said to do. So far we're even Stevens. Then instead of putting it in the tube, I'd get my knife and press down, and then just take the peel off.
Wow. I like you. You're my clever gadget. I give you an S.
What would you give this gadget?
Oh, I think it's great. It does its job, but it's pretty simple. Maybe it's a little unnecessary. Maybe a B.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't use it, so I'm going to give it a D. So we're averaging out on a C for that one.
Wow. Tough.
Next we have a sandwich toast cutter. Now, it's not actually to cut the toast. It says on the instructions to take a slice of cheese
Yes.
and push down with the cutter,
I like it.
grab a piece of bread, put this on and push down, and you have a checkerboard of cheese. Next it says to take jam.
Ugh. What?
You might prefer Vegemite if you're Australian. And put it in between
Oh my gosh.
each little one, which I think is going to take ages. I am wondering if we could just instead spread the jam down first,
Okay. Yeah.
and then put the cheese on top. Let me toast these up. So following the instructions definitely looks prettier than putting the jam underneath, because once the cheese melts you can see through it. I can only taste the jam, or the jelly as you would call it. If you're a baker and you're wondering, does that work with fondant? If you've ever made a Minecraft cake, your mind will have gone straight there. It does work for cutting out fondant, but you can't use the presser because it leaves like the little dot impression on there. What rating are you going to give it?
It did what it said, so I'm going to give it a B.
This is a Vegista Freshness Preservation Stick. Now, this promises that if you take these spikes and push them into the growth point on a lettuce or a Chinese cabbage or a normal cabbage, it will slow down the growth and therefore make them stay fresh for longer. It calls it a crispy revolution.
Wow.
So I have 2 lettuces that were from the same bag. I've put a spike in one and nothing in the other. And then as per the instructions, I'm putting them back into a bag and in the fridge. And we're gonna have to wait a few days to see if this is the crispness revolution.
Let the revolution begin.
Is it an S tier or is it D tier? We'll let you decide where this goes. I'll show the results at the end of the video. This says it is a thick ice stick for water bottles, which when you take it out, it is essentially just plastic Ziploc bags that are tall and narrow with some measurements written on it. But nonetheless, we will test it out.
Super duper.
It is like a super duper. This is quite a wide-mouthed bottle, so I think it'll fit in this one. It doesn't fit.
It definitely doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit in yours, but it doesn't even fit in mine. To be fair, yours is not the right size bottle, but mine is. I guess you could... No. Try and smash. Hey, there we go.
Ta-da!
It works with a very wide mouth bottle, but nothing else, which you could just chuck any ice into that. You don't need a stick of ice.
Not impressed.
Yeah. Next we have an ice sphere mould.
Nice.
Now, ice spheres, to go in traditionally alcoholic drinks like whiskey and that sort of stuff, did originate in Japan with Japanese bartenders hand carving the spheres. Which
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work and pretty impressive. The theory behind it is a sphere has the highest volume per surface area, so it's going to melt more slowly than any other shape of ice cube, so the drink doesn't get as diluted as it would if you used a different shape or lots of small cubes.
Is that legit?
Well, we will test it out, and as you can see when we get it open, it hasn't made clear ice. The ice has cracks in it, and when that goes in any liquid, you very quickly get crevices, so that surface area thing is just not going to work.
Yeah.
For this sort of thing, you need clear ice. To make clear ice, there's a trick to it. You have to make it set in one direction only. For the point of showing you clear ice in this gadget, if we get hot water, boiled water gives you clearer ice than if you have it just straight from the tap.
Really?
And then put it together so that there's no air in this bottom bit at all, and then lift it up a little bit off the base. We want this bit where the hole is to be the last bit that freezes. So this bit's sticking out of the hot water, so this is going to freeze first and it's going to freeze going down. Now when we pull that out of the freezer, we now have a solid block of ice all the way around. That shouldn't be too hard to get off because ice is fairly fragile, so if we give it a bit of a saw and a few taps, we should be able to get all of that off, and then we're left just with our ice sphere mould. And if we loosen that and take it out, you can see we now have a clear sphere of ice. It's not perfect, it has that rim all the way around the edge, which is reflective of our mould is not great. I'm going to measure 85 grams exactly of ice, because that's what our sphere weighs, in 3 different glasses, and let's start the time lapse.
Sounds like a whiskey experiment.
So it's been 20 minutes, let's give that a quick stir. And now another 25 minutes later, so this is 45 minutes all up. I feel like someone would have drunk their glass of alcohol in that time. I'm not a drinker, so I don't know.
This is a patient drinker.
It seems very slow. So if we drain those out so that we can weigh just the ice, and we weigh each of those, this is the result. And as you can see, there's not much in it.
Right.
Whether someone would be able to taste that, I'm not sure. If you're trying to make a perfect clear ice sphere at home, this is not the gadget for you. There is more expensive ones, but if you've gone and bought one of these, I've now shown you how you can hack it to make it work. As is, I would give this a D.
Same.
Next we have beans, which are actually bottle cleaning sponges.
Okay.
So I've got a bottle here which I put some strawberry smoothie in yesterday and left it overnight. I've given it a rinse, and as predicted, all of this did not come off. So let's add some water and some beans.
Right. Beans.
And see if it comes clean. I think we need the beans to go up and down. Yeah, a bit more of a violent shake there.
Right.
All right, let's have a look. Ooh,
Okay.
I think it cleaned it.
It did.
I reckon that's going up on A. Next we have not 1, but 2 cutting gadgets. This blue one says that it has ceramic blades, which apparently last 5 times longer than metal blades. And then we have this cute little teddy bear one. So let's start with the blue one. If you get a letter in the mail, it is obviously sealed. And then what you are supposed to do is put one end in the cutter and go down. And then your letter is now open and you can take out the contents. Incidentally, if you want a magnet and a sticker, become a patron.
Great
and
idea.
the Deep Enders deadline is now available on Audible.
It took a while, but it's up there.
Been with them since the start of the year, last year. And it's now finally actually available for people to listen to, so go have a listen.
For your audible pleasure.
And next we have this one which calls itself a retort pouch cutter.
Okay, so just like this.
Yep, and slide it across.
Watch my fingers.
I had a go at this earlier and found the same problem. I found it really hard to get it started. Once I got it started, it did cut across fine. It was just the beginning was not an easy journey.
But sometimes the most difficult journeys are the most enjoyable. Ow!
There we go.
Thank goodness, it's such a joy to use. I'm giving it a D.
And this one, the envelope opener.
That was great.
This one's an A. This next gadget came from a vending machine. Let's have a look. What is in the box? We have this, which I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to use Google Translate. And a pair of socks. Apparently it is a door or window alarm. So let's switch it on and give it a test. You ready?
Yep. Oh, wow.
It definitely works.
That's a solid alarm.
But if you want to go through the door, you could just switch it off.
Ah, clever. Genius. I'm giving it a... I don't even know. Somewhere between a B and a D.
So that's a C.
Okay.
And next, because we were travelling, we got a travel neck pillow. Now, I know what you're thinking. Japan didn't invent the travel neck pillow.
Invented in 1929 in New York.
But they did invent this one, which has a zip. You unzip it, take this out, give it a shake, and then all of this tucks inside, and you now have sushi.
Yes. That is delightful and brilliantly Japanese.
You can either have it around your neck or you can put it on the table in front of you and rest your head. I like it. I think it's simple, clever and cute.
Great. It's fun. A.
This is for making hamburgers.
Oh, okay.
Which in Japan are called hamburgu. And instead of having them flat, they have them round, and instead of being served with a bun, it's usually served with rice. It says to put it on high to start with and then turn it down to low. Now the thing with hamburgers is you can't have them rare in the middle like you can with steak. Steak, the outside potentially is contaminated, so that is heated to a high temperature, but the inside is sterile unless the animal was sick and had an infection. So therefore you can cook the outside hot and keep the inside rare, but that's not the case when you've minced the meat, because you've taken the outside and put it all the way through. So you need to cook it hot all the way through. Now if we think back to the ice, can you remember the special thing about a sphere?
It's round.
It has the highest volume to surface, area. In this case, moving it over to the cooker, what is that going to translate to?
It's also going to be round and have the highest surface area.
It's also going to be round, and it's also going to be the slowest way to cook it. And that's why normally in a fast food restaurant you'll see them squash it really flat, so you've got a high surface area to volume, so it cooks fast. This cooks ridiculously slowly. 45 minutes later it still wasn't at temperature in the middle. Which
That's not fast food.
No. So finally it got up to temperature, and let's see if this is the juiciest hamburger you have ever had.
Wow.
Or not.
That is a hunk of round meat right there. Okay. Oops. That's the problem with round meat, is it rolls up your plate. Takes me back to an old song. falling apart. Okay, here we go. As in terms of the juiciest, I don't think so. I think it's actually pretty dry.
Yeah, if you have one of these and you like it, let me know what I did wrong, because, yeah, it was not good. The thing that is special about this pencil is as you write, the lead is supposed to automatically rotate so that you don't end up with a sharp chisel edge on one side.
It sounds like a high-tech solution to a problem that I didn't know I had.
Apparently, if it gets chisel edged, it's more likely to snap. So if I write with it, I'm finding that I am still getting a sharp chisel edge on one side, and it is in fact not rotating. It's rotating a tiny bit, but hardly at all. The problem is it wasn't made for me. This is made for people who write in Japanese.
Oh.
And so it actually does rotate every time you lift off the page. And so if you're writing in lots of little symbols, lots of little strokes, you're lifting off the page all the time and it rotates. But if you write in cursive like I do and you only lift off the page at the end of every word, it is rotating so slowly that it just isn't having its desired function at all. So I was so disappointed because I thought, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then, yeah, it's not made for me. So I'm not quite sure where to rate it now. I would have thought that it should be S, but it's going to need to be reinvented to be useful for everyone.
Somewhere between shu and D.
Japan is known for great cameras. I'm not quite sure if this is one of the great cameras, but we'll find out. It's a toy camera. It is very much plastic sounding, no metal body in there at all. If we power it on, it says hello.
Oh.
And it's got a little flash. Ready for the flash?
Oof.
So it has a cuteness factor of flash, but non-functioning flash. But let's take a few little photos with it and see what quality the images are.
Bit blurry.
Bit grainy. Keep in mind is with full studio lighting, like we've got two big camera lights on there. That's with normal light, that is, yeah, it's getting worse.
This is like the early days of digital cameras.
Yeah, it's very grainy. I don't think it's HD, which is what it claimed to be.
It wasn't super cheap either, was it?
No, I'm sorry, putting it down on D tier. I tested these at day 7 and day 10 and they were both still crispy and crunchy. Now at day 14, they're finally starting to go a little bit on the soggy side. As you can see, I can bend the leaves backwards, but it's identical on both of them. So this gadget did nothing. D grade.
Well, there you have it. That was 22 Japanese gadgets.
With thanks to our patrons for making these sort of videos possible. You guys are amazing. And if you are a patron, make sure you head on over there because we are also doing a video tasting all different Japanese snacks that we got over there. That will be exclusive on Patreon.
Come on.
Make it a great week by being kind to others and we'll see you on Friday.
Bye.